that the word system stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. Save yourself time, energy, and money. You know, it baffles me. It baffles me. I'll never forget, you know, when I first got started in this industry about 7 or 8 years ago. I can't remember if it was 7 or 8 years, one of them. And I'll never forget, you know, I kind of was what you call a prima donna. And I'm being very, very, very sincere here. I was what you call a prima donna. I was one of those people that, you know, I thought I really didn't need these training calls. I didn't need to go to a Saturday training. I really didn't need it. I felt like I was already, you know, motivated, and I understood what they were saying, and I couldn't possibly imagine that the speaker was talking to me. I really felt like this was for somebody who was kind of beneath me. That was my attitude back then. And I'll never forget, one day my mentor had enough courage to pull me aside, and he said to me, he said, Romacio, before you tear down the fences, why don't you understand why we put them up? Before you tear down the fences, why don't you understand why we put them up? You know, and ever since he said that statement to me, it literally hit me like a Mack truck, and I'll tell you why. Because I used to have a big issue with training. I didn't like training. I just didn't like it. Now, some of you love our trainings, but I just didn't like it personally. And now I've grown an affectionate love for training because I understand something very important. And I want to encourage you tonight to jot this down really quickly. As I salute you, I want you to jot this down really quickly. True wealth only reveals itself to those that are patient enough to train others. I'm going to say it again. True wealth. I'll write this down because I'm telling you, this is going to be a monumental sentence that you will remember that I told you to write this down. True wealth only reveals itself to those that are patient enough to train others. And so I'm super excited, guys, for those of you that are with us tonight that are plugging into the system, because you truly are saving yourself time, energy, and money by plugging in to this amazing system. Guys, I'm super excited for all of you that are brand new, that are freeway. I'm super excited to all of you that are brand new, guys, simply because this team is growing like wildfire. It's growing like wildfire, truly, guys. What do I mean by that? I mean, literally, if you don't know, if you haven't heard what you're a part of, we're the number one team in the entire Smart 360, and we are doing our very best to lead by example daily. Okay, we are doing our very best to lead by example daily. And what that simply means, guys, I want to share with you what our team goal is. You know, every Wednesday night, we start off saying the same exact thing every single Wednesday night. And that is that our goal is by October of 2015, we will be doing 8,000 to 10,000 enrollments every single month. It simply breaks down into 333 enrollments on a daily basis. And I'm super excited to know that you are choosing to be a part of such a massive vision, a vision that is huge, a vision that will literally change a lot of people's lives, not just your own. And so being here on this call, we're really delighted to have you because we know that you are getting fed with what you need to actually go out there and get what you want, okay? So, guys, tonight we're going to pick it up, and we're going to go ahead and dive back into we've been teaching the 17 principles of success, and tonight we are talking about the principle number 7 of a positive mental attitude. This is something that I'm very, very familiar with. This is kind of one of my specialty topics, if you will. You know, it sounds really simple, having a positive mental attitude. You know, we've all heard it before, but you know what the interesting thing is? How many of us actually live by this? How many of us actually live by this topic, having a positive mental attitude? It's something that's extremely valuable, okay? And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it through examples here tonight. But let me go ahead and just give you a definition really quickly. You know, your mental attitude is the medium by which you can balance your life and your relationship to people and circumstances to attract what you desire, okay? We all are born equal in the sense that we have the equal access to the great principle, the right to control our thoughts and our mental attitude. A positive mental attitude is the greatest of life's riches. It is through this attitude that anything worthwhile is achieved. Keep your mind on the things you want and off the things you don't want. Remember the old proverb, be careful of what you set your heart on, for you surely will achieve it. Guys, I want to talk to you about this topic so bad because I got to tell you, your attitude completely determines your altitude. I don't care how broke you are, how rich you are, how whatever you are, but one thing I can tell you is your attitude is everything. And to me, your attitude simply means how you respond to life's adversities. How do you respond? How do you respond when things are not going your way? How do you respond when someone, signs up in your business and they quit instantly because they feel the business wasn't for them? How do you respond when you show up at a presentation expecting, you thought it was going to be 30, 40, 50, 100 people there and there's 2 people in the room? How do you respond, when challenge and adversity lands on your doorstep? What happens not only to you, but more importantly, what happens inside of you? A positive mental attitude is one of the most important principles that I could ever share with anyone. Listen, I can tell you whether you choose to stay a part of this team or not, you listen to me clearly. By October 2015, you watch, and I want you to really hold me to this. You watch what happens to this organization as we'll be doing 8,000 to 10,000 enrollments every single month. If you knew the underground construction that was going on as things are being aligned, things are being moved into place, we're going through a season of construction where just things are being developed to make sure that this goal gets achieved. Why? Because our attitude is set on one number and one number only. And I want to talk to you about being able to be focused on one thing. One of the things that I have found is that too many people are focused on too many different things, and that's why they never achieve that one thing. Let me tell you a recent story. As I said to you, I just got off the plane just a couple hours ago, very excited to get back home to a meeting that I had. My brother, 50 years old, an amazing man, one of my icons in life, someone I've always looked up to. It's my oldest brother, very, very successful in the area of health and fitness, went on to be Mr. California as a bodybuilder, went on to become Mr. Hawaii as a bodybuilder as well. So the guy, he's very disciplined in the area of health and fitness, and also he's been a general manager of a gym for many, many years and been top producer I don't know how many times over. But he's just a great father, a great human being, a great disciplinarian, and just a great man's man, if you get the picture. And so we had signed him up in the business. I had signed him up in the business probably about a week ago before I left to Canada. He signed up and he purchased the leader pack. He was really excited to charge forward with this chocolate venture and be able to help a lot of people as well as help himself. And so we agreed that today at 3 o'clock, we were going to do some training, and we were going to really build a personal game plan for him as we were going to take this thing over, right, and just really go out there and accomplish his goals. And so I get back to my house, and he's there at 3 o'clock, and we sat down, and we're about 20 minutes into the meeting. And my brother sits there and tells me, he says, we're 20 minutes into the meeting as we're planning things, and he tells me, he says, stop. He says, I've got some bad news for you. He says, I've been sitting here for the last 20 minutes, and I've been really fighting with myself on how to tell you this, but I don't think I could do this business. I just don't think it's for me. He says, I thought it was, but when I really think about it, I have to do meetings, and I'm going to have to build a team. I'm going to have to do conference calls, and I just don't know if I really see myself doing that. And I sat there and I patiently listened to him, and I tried to connect with him in terms of where he was coming from, with how he felt. just I've been there before 8 years ago where I kind of was unsure if this really was for me. I've been there before. And I told him this one statement. And I said, listen, my brother's name is Raul Jr., and we call him Junior. And I said, Junior, you want to be careful about having a loyalty to something just because you're educated in it. I said, be careful about having a loyalty to something just because you're educated in it. In other words, for many years, all I knew was mortgage and real estate. And if you would have asked me 8 years ago, would I be doing something different than mortgage and real estate, I would have told you no, because real estate was what I had been educated in, and I had a loyalty to it because that's all I knew at that time. Until I met someone that stretched my vision, someone that pretty much got me to understand that even though I was in real estate successful, the only challenge was I wasn't living the lifestyle that I'd always imagined. The lifestyle where you had freedom of time to be able to do what you want when you want, be able to make a difference in your community through giving and doing and donating and that sort of thing. I wasn't able to do that from real estate. I had to, if I didn't make a sale, I didn't get paid. And so I shared this story with my brother, and I said to him, be careful of having a loyalty to something just because you've been educated in it. And I said, listen, to be honest with you, if you're going to be successful in this business, this is the only business that I know of that has the law of decreasing responsibility. In other words, in the beginning, you are going to do some meetings. You are going to be on some conference calls as you're building a team, vision, and helping other people. And I told my brother, I said, listen, if you're not willing to help other people get what you want, then you won't ever get what you want. If you're not willing to sacrifice the seed of time, if you're not willing to put time in, then you don't deserve the harvest of financial freedom in every direction imaginable. And I said, as I love you, this may not be for you right now. But I can tell you, as he was talking to me, guys, there was one thing I was saying in my mind the whole time. Nothing is taking me off my focus of 300 new enrollments per day, not even my own blood brother. And so I want you to understand, as you're listening to us tonight, again, having a positive mental attitude, having a absolute clear focus. Tonight I want to challenge 13 minutes before this call ends tonight, and I want to challenge you tonight. I want to challenge each and every single one of you. I want you to take, when we end this call, I want you to grab a piece of paper, and I just want you to write down, what is it that you really want out of your life? Be specific. No, I don't want anything general. I want it to be specific. What is it that you really want? Write it down. And some of you may already, but write it again. Be specific. Have you been crystal clear? In other words, if I were to come in your house right now and I were to look at that piece of paper, would it be very clear to me of what you specifically want and by when do you want it? I want you to write it down. You're going to really love this exercise. Write it down specifically. As soon as this call ends, what you want out of your life. What do you want specifically? What do you want specifically? Number one. And then number two, my question to you is this. What vehicle have you chosen to take you to what you want? What vehicle have you chosen to take you to what you want? In other words, you know you want X, but have you decided on the route on how to get there? Do you absolutely know for certain this is the route to get you what you want? Well, let me share with you my answers, guys. It's very simple. 8,000 to 10,000 enrollments every single month, down to 333 enrollments every single day. Do you realize, guys, and I hope you learned something from this exercise, that one goal, by achieving that one goal, ladies and gentlemen, that one goal, every dream I've ever had is realized. in less than 12 months. By achieving that one goal, not 50 million different goals. I said one goal. See, what most people don't realize is the number one reason why people don't succeed in life is because of loss of focus. And I can't tell you how many times it happened to me in the past. Loss of focus. They lost their focus. Focus is the one reason why people don't achieve their ultimate goals. Dare you tonight. I double dog dare you to identify what is one thing. If you just focused on one thing, consequently would allow you to accomplish everything. See, I know that one thing for me. By focusing on 333 enrollments a day allows me to have every single dream I've ever dreamt of. Every dream, all wrapped up into one number. Again, I want to repeat myself just so that all of you understood. Write down everything you want, specifically. I want to emphasize the word specifically. Number one. Number two, have you identified what is the vehicle? In other words, identified what is the specific chosen vehicle that will take you to what you want? And then number three, do you know what is the specific number or rank that you need to achieve to make that dream come true, to make all of those dreams come true? All of my dreams, guys, are wrapped up in one single number, 333 per day, 333 enrollments on a daily basis. And as you heard me mention moments ago, folks, as you heard me mention, I'll say it again, be careful what you set your heart on, or you will surely achieve it. My heart is set on 333 enrollments a day, and nothing will take me off of my focus. Nothing. And I want to encourage you to have a resolute, absolutely clear focus. Clear focus. Focus is the reason why people don't achieve greatness. Focus. If you can focus on one issue, it will allow you to have everything if you just focus on one thing. Too many people try and focus on too many things, and that's why they never accomplish the main thing. Just focus on one thing,